Hello, welcome back. Today I'm at the Lakeside Cemetery in Loveland, Colorado. We're going to be checking out two graves here, actually right next to each other, both men who were killed by lightning. So follow me and I will tell you about their stories. Alright, so if you want to come to this cemetery to check these guys out, they're in the far northeast corner, way up there. So we're just going to take this dirt road up here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. So one of them is called HLW Peterson. He was a 24-year-old killed by lightning July 13th, 1854. Now, the location of his original grave was along the Big Thompson River. So just west of here is where the Big Thompson River is. Now, Loveland Historian Harold Dunning photographed the original headstone, but in 1940 it was knocked down and broken to pieces. Dunning then recreated a new handmade headstone out of sandstone and copied the original inscription. As a historian, he fabricated headstones that were missing from historic graves. In 1947, the ground by the Big Thompson River was leveled by a bulldozer, and Peterson's coffin was found. The headstone had been removed previously by the landowner. Peterson's remains were then moved to Lakeside Cemetery here. Dunning then made a second headstone for Peterson, but the cemetery at the time told Dunning that it was illegal to erect a handmade headstone, so his grave actually remained unmarked for about 20 years. Dunning's second headstone was finally installed in 1969. Now, not much was known about Peterson, other than he was 24 years old and killed by lightning, which is what was on his original grave marker by the Big Thompson River. And then later on, a diary was discovered that mentions a Peterson getting struck by lightning. And so they kind of found out a little more about him. So we'll come up to the grave here. Whoa, this one's deep. So here is HLW Peterson's grave. You see it is handmade by the historian Dunning here, and it says In memory of HLW Peterson, age 24, killed by lightning July 13th, 1854. There's another marker here for him, which I had to uncover from the snow. But after they found the diary, they knew a little more about him. So I'll read it here. It says H.L. Wilson Peterson, bound for California via the Cherokee Trail, Kevin Hall Homes with 7 wagons, 19 drovers, and about 1,000 head of mostly Texas cattle left Rogers, Benton County, Arkansas on April 25th, 1854. Travel was heavy that year, but in his diary, Calvin soon wrote, "Past the foremost train." On June 11, they arrived at the future site of Denver and crossed the South Platte River, striking due north on a route developed in 1850 by Captain Edmondson's Arkansas train. On June 13, they arrived at the Big Thompson River in present Loveland, Colorado. On that date, Calvin Holmes recorded, "This day we experienced a most awful scare when the lightning struck 5 of our own men, killed Mr. Peterson and 1 ox." On June 14, he wrote, "Buried Mr. Wilson Peterson on a mound on the prairie." The headstone inscription read, "To the memory of HLW Peterson, age 24, killed by lightning June 13th, 1854. Many years later, Holmes' wife, Ella, wrote of the event, "Our teams and cattle were knocked down, and many of our men, one whom we left sleeping by the stream where he was killed. The marker just north and east of Old Fort Namaqua, on the north bank of the Big Thompson River, was replaced at least once. In 1940 by historian Harold Dunning. In 1947, Larimer County Coroner Carl Kibbe removed Peterson's remains to Lakeside Cemetery." That's pretty cool. So this says June, but his headstone says July, so maybe when they were recreating his tombstone here, they weren't sure of the exact date until they found that diary. So maybe that was why. And right next to him is the other grave we're going to be looking at, which is of a man named Jose Rosendro, also known as Mexican Joe. He was also killed by lightning, so his original grave was on the Mariana Butte golf course. Golfers may feel a cold shiver as they tee up on the 12th hole, which is near the site where Mexican Joe was struck by lightning on August 5th, 1870. In 1870, former Loveland mayor and businessman Lucas Brandt was in the area when the bolt of lightning struck. He heard the howling of dogs and rushed to location of the bolt. He saw the falling body of a man simply known as Mexican Joe. The bolt had entered his head, with part of the bolt coming out from under his chin. The rest flowed through his body, exiting his feet, tearing off the soles of his shoes. Brandt and Mexican Joe's wife decided to bury the body where it fell, on the bank of the Big Thompson River. Many years later, Loveland's historian Harold Dunning began marking the graves of area pioneers using handmade sandstone headstones. On June 2nd, 1929, Brandt showed Dunning where he remembered the location of the grave. To attempt to recover the remains, an excavation was made, and after sifting every shovelful of dirt, no trace of Rosendro was discovered. Brandt's memory may have been faulty when the headstone was placed, or animals may have dug down and removed the bones. The Big Thompson River had flooded several times, and the river may have changed course. It is not surprising that no trace of Mexican Joe's body was discovered. A token shovel of dirt along the headstone was taken here to Lakeside Cemetery and buried. And like many pioneers who labored in the Loveland area, little is known about Jose Rosendro, except he was a friend of Mariano Medina. So this headstone is a little bit harder to read, but you can barely make out. It says Mexican Joe, killed by lightning, August 5th, 1870. So this is another handmade headstone by the historian Dunning, the same one who also created that. So it's very interesting that both of these men were struck down by lightning near the Big Thompson River, actually not too much farther from one another, and even though they're a few years apart, they suffer the same fate. And so I was walking by and I noticed this one as well, and I'm guessing it's probably the same work as Harold Dunning. So it is sandstone. It looks like almost the same font as HLW Peterson, so I wonder if he also did this headstone as well. Very cool. I was walking around this cemetery and it's a really cool one, and I noticed there's these above ground tombs here, which is really neat. I don't think I've ever seen this before. And there's like a little book here. Bertha Vanderpool, 1885 to 1905. Our precious darling, asleep. Oh yeah, what that says. Asleep something. And there's another one over here. Not sure. There's a marker down there, but I'm not sure if it's this one. They're on the other side. No, maybe it is that one on that. Maybe it is for this one. Kate Pricer, 1868. It's 1944. This is dearest mother. Yeah, so this is really neat. I also came across these. This one says Catherine, wife of A. Dowdy, died April 8th, 1874, aged 64 years. And then right next to her is the husband, Andrew Dowdy, died May 15th, 1874, aged 67 years. So he pretty much died 1 month after she did. Aw, probably have a broken heart. There's just a lot of really cool, interesting headstones here, so I think I'll have to come back and do a whole tour video. I also came across this one that I have to show you guys, of Daniel Chenoweth and Georgia Ann Hawthorne Chenoweth. But what's really great is on the back, if we go to the back, it says, knock knock, who's there? Hope you enjoyed that video and getting to see the graves of two men who were struck down by lightning here in Loveland, Colorado. If you guys are interested, I'm also going to be doing a video on the historian here that created these headstones. He's actually buried in the same cemetery, so check that video out next. Please like and subscribe for some more videos, and I'll see you at the next grave. Thanks.